She laughed into the speaker, barefoot in my kitchen. While my husband sliced limes like this wasn't the punchline to a twisted joke I hadn't heard yet, I didn't interrupt. But that night, I opened a folder on my laptop named Tuesday and started making decisions. It was the bracelet that started it, a delicate silver chain with a single sapphire charm, one I knew too well because I helped choose it last Christmas. I had spent an hour in the boutique with Lila, laughing over how she accidentally dropped hints to her then-boyfriend about it for weeks. He never got the message, so I bought it for her instead. It showed up yesterday, not on her wrist, on the passenger seat of my husband's car. I was loading groceries into the trunk when I saw it glinting in the sunlight, half buried under a receipt for some gas station coffee. I stared at it for a second too long. It felt like seeing a memory turned inside out. By the time I got back inside, Tom was already in the kitchen, chatting with Lila over speakerphone. I could hear her laugh. Familiar, easy. Something about a client drama at her firm, some nonsense story I might have laughed at 2 weeks ago. I watched him laugh along, slice a lime for his drink, ask her about that hilarious guy from the wedding. His voice was too relaxed, too familiar. There was a softness there I hadn't noticed before. Not with me, not for a long time. I poured a glass of water and walked past the speaker. Didn't say a word, just listened. Later that night, I scrolled through Lila's Instagram. She'd posted a story 2 days ago. Mirror selfie, wine glass, that bracelet sparkling at her wrist. The caption was some quote about making your own luck. I tapped back through her photos, looking for, what, evidence, patterns? I started seeing them. A picture from the camping trip in April. Tom's old flannel jacket draped over her shoulders. A wine-tasting photo from February. His favorite brand of Pinot behind her, even though she always said she hated reds. A group shot from the Halloween party last year. His hand, not quite on my waist, but hovering too close to hers. Funny how betrayal doesn't come with fireworks. It comes in quiet, in echoes, in things you've already seen, but didn't register. The next morning I checked Tom's iPad. He never changed the passcode. Their messages weren't romantic, at least not obviously. But the timestamps said enough. Midnight texts. Did you get home okay? Missed your face today. You always know what I need. I took screenshots, sent them to myself, then deleted the messages from the iPad's memory. For the next 2 weeks, I played the game. Sat beside him at dinner, laughed when I had to, let Lila braid my hair at brunch like nothing had changed. But every move I made was calculated. Every silence was a strategy. I copied more messages, recorded a phone call where he told her he wished things were different. I found a video on our security camera, one from a week I was out of town. She showed up late, left early. The camera doesn't lie, neither do timestamps. I clipped the footage, wrote nothing, just saved it in a folder labeled Tuesday. The last thing I did was go to the kitchen, the place where the three of us used to drink wine, laugh too loud, dance barefoot at 2 a.m. I stood there, palms on the counter, remembering Lila leaning against the fridge, Tom pretending to hate her jokes. I uploaded everything, screenshots, videos, audio, into a single post. No captions, no explanations. Just the truth. And I scheduled it to go live on all my socials at 6 p.m. sharp. Then I packed. My suitcase was already half done. Just the essentials. I left the rest. Didn't want any of it. Not the house. Not the memories. Not the weight of pretending everything was fine. By 5:50, I was in the back of a rideshare. The driver quiet. The road wet with early June rain. I watched the house disappear behind me. Windows still glowing like nothing had shattered inside. When the alert buzzed that the post was live, I didn't check the comments. I just stared ahead as the city faded behind the curve of the highway. The lights got smaller, quieter. My chest did too, like something finally unclenched. No drama, no screaming, just silence and freedom. The folder grew slowly. A message here, a voicemail there. At first it felt absurd, like I was being dramatic, paranoid. I kept asking myself, am I really doing this? Am I really building a case like some prosecutor in my own marriage? But then came Thursday. Tom came home late, said there'd been traffic. But when he kissed my cheek, I caught it. Ginger and bergamot. Lila's perfume. I knew it because I gifted it to her for her birthday. She said it made her feel like a better version of herself. I stood in the laundry room after he went to bed and stared at the collar of his shirt. There was a tiny shimmer on the edge. Foundation, probably. She wore that shade. Too light for me. I didn't cry. I took out my phone, snapped a photo, added it to Tuesday. By the weekend, I was noticing everything. They texted less when we were in the same room. She stopped tagging me in posts. Tom started double-locking his phone. He claimed it was because of a weird client situation. I didn't challenge it. Instead, I started mirroring him. Kept my phone face down, said less, watched more. One morning he left for a jog and forgot his smartwatch on the charger. I tapped into the synced messages, scrolled, screenshots, a voice memo of her laughing and calling him my secret piece. I didn't even blink. Just hit record on my own phone and let it capture everything. That night, Lila came over for dinner. I made pasta. She brought wine. We sat at the table where we'd shared years of birthdays, late-night tears, Sunday brunches. She wore a new bracelet. Not the sapphire one. This was gold, subtle, elegant. Tom complimented it, said it looked familiar. She smiled. I excused myself to the kitchen, not because I couldn't take it, but because I knew the camera above the fridge would catch her reach for his hand under the table. I knew it because I placed it there that morning. Small, black, unnoticeable. After they left, Tom claiming he was too tired to watch a movie, I reviewed the footage, frame by frame. The folder was almost full now. Texts, voicemails, screenshots, video. The next day I called into work sick. I wasn't sick. I just needed silence. I laid everything out on the dining table. Laptop open, phone in hand, every thread organized. It felt surgical, methodical. And when I watched one of the older videos, one from last fall, a birthday party where Tom said he couldn't stand Lila, I nearly laughed. He'd said she was too much. He kissed her 2 hours later on our back porch. Just a shadow in the corner of the frame, but enough. Enough to know. I renamed the folder. For them. Then I closed the laptop and went to pack. The living room still smelled like her perfume. I didn't spray anything to cover it. I wanted to remember how it smelled. Right before everything broke, I didn't pack much. One suitcase, a duffel. Everything else could rot in that house. I left the dresses she complimented. The cardigan he said made me look soft. I packed jeans, a black coat, chargers, notebooks, neutral things. Things no one touched but me. By Monday I had a burner email. I uploaded the folder to a private cloud, added a password, sent a copy to myself, then deleted the originals from every device in the house. That way, when it happened, it would come from nowhere. That week, I moved through the house like a ghost. I folded laundry, answered work calls, watered the plants. I let Tom sleep next to me, sometimes with his arm over my waist like he remembered what it was to hold me. One night, he even said, "I love you." I nodded, didn't say it back. He didn't notice. He was distracted, checking his phone every few minutes, disappearing into the garage for calls with the guys. Once, I followed him silently. He wasn't on the phone, just sitting in the car, staring at nothing. I watched him through the small gap in the blinds, wondering if he felt anything. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But he didn't know I had stopped feeling something too. On Wednesday, I cleaned out the bookshelf in our bedroom. There, tucked behind an old copy of The Road, I found the photo. Us and Lila at a beach trip 2 summers ago. She had sunglasses on. He was holding a drink. I was barefoot between them. I ripped the photo in half, but not out of spite. I just needed to see what they looked like without me. They looked comfortable, natural, like I was the guest. That night, I sat at the kitchen table, the same place where she once cried about her breakup, where he promised we'd grow old in this house, and I wrote the caption. It was 2 lines, nothing poetic, just enough to say, "Look closely." I scheduled the post. Friday, 6 p.m., all platforms, no early leaks. The next day, Lila texted. "Lila, you okay? You've been quiet lately." I stared at the screen. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. Then I locked the phone. She had her answers coming. And I had a bus ticket. I didn't need a big escape. Just distance. Space. Somewhere they couldn't find me in a cafe 5 blocks away or beg me to talk this out. They had years to be honest. They chose choreography over truth. The night before it went live, Tom fell asleep on the couch. Lila called. FaceTime. I answered in the dark. Phone angled toward the ceiling. She didn't say my name. Just, "Hey, you alone?" I didn't speak. She stared at the screen, confused. "Hello?" I ended the call. Blocked her number, went to the bedroom, zipped the suitcase, left it by the door. The post was 18 hours away from changing everything. Friday, 5:43 p.m. The house was quiet. Too quiet for a place about to detonate. Tom was still at work, or so he said. I didn't care where he actually was. I wasn't tracking him. Not anymore. The version of me who cared what lie he told to buy an extra hour with her was dead. I boiled water. Just something to do. The sound filled the space. 6 p.m. hit like a silent thunderclap. The video went live. I didn't sit there refreshing. I didn't need to. I'd chosen my clips carefully. Text threads with timestamps. The security footage from the porch. His voice whispering that she was the only real thing. Overlaid it all with silence. No music, no commentary. Just raw fucking truth. I watched it once, start to finish. 4 minutes and 17 seconds. That's how long it took to unravel 12 years of marriage and 15 years of friendship. No screams, no edits, just betrayal in HD. Then I shut the laptop. No second thoughts, no corrections. They'd see it. Everyone would. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Tom, ignored. Lila, ignored. Then came the group chats lighting up, one by one, messages blinking like warning lights. I didn't read them, just kept moving. Zipped the bag, grabbed my keys. As I walked through the house for the last time, the silence was heavy. Not sad, satisfying. Like the kind of silence after a door slams shut for good. I paused at the kitchen counter, the wine glasses from our last dinner still in the sink, lipstick smudged on one. I tapped it gently with my knuckle. Hope it was fucking worth it, I whispered. There were details I wouldn't forget. Lila sitting cross-legged on my couch, painting her nails while telling me she'd never betray a real friend. Tom joking that if I ever left him, she'd probably move in. The way they both looked at each other when they thought I wasn't watching. Too long, too easy. I had buried all of it under loyalty. Buried myself. Not anymore. The rideshare pulled up. I didn't look back when I stepped out. The air smelled like rain. Good. Cleansing. As the car moved down the block, my phone lit up again. Tom. What the hell is this? Tom. Can we talk? Tom. You're blowing this out of proportion. Blowing it out of proportion? I laughed out loud. Sharp. Hollow. Men like him never think it's cheating until you burn the house down with their lies printed in 4K. Lila tried calling again. I sent it straight to voicemail. Her message came in seconds later. Lila. Please call me. It's not what it looks like. Of course it fucking isn't. It never is. I blocked her. As we hit the freeway, I watched the city start to fade behind the glass. My hands were steady, my breathing even. The only sound in the car was the quiet hum of tires and my own pulse, slow and solid. I didn't know where I'd end up yet. I just knew it wouldn't be anywhere they could follow. They had built their world on lies. I left them both in the ruins. And for the first time in months, I felt light, not healed, not whole, but light enough to keep moving. The bus station smelled like vending machine coffee and old carpet. I liked it. No one looked twice at me. Woman with one suitcase staring out the window like she'd misplaced a decade. That anonymity was a gift. I hadn't had a moment to myself in years that wasn't shaped around someone else's needs, someone else's fucking damage control. I picked the window seat in the back. Nobody sat next to me. Good. The phone was off. Laptop too. No beeping, no blinking. I'd thrown the smartwatch in the trash can outside gate 3. It had buzzed one last time, Tom's name, and I'd watched it land face down next to a half-eaten sandwich. Fitting. The bus pulled away. I didn't flinch. Somewhere between the city limits and the first billboard for fast food, I let my head rest against the window. The glass was cold. My breath fogged it just a little. I thought about the first time I met Lila. She was crying in a bathroom at a holiday party. Her boyfriend had cheated on her, some asshole from her grad program. I gave her tissues, half my lipstick, and a ride home. That was 11 years ago. I remember Tom asking early on, "Why are you always defending her?" I used to say, "Because she's broken and doesn't know it yet." Turns out, I was just a useful blind spot. The kind of friend who made her look good by comparison. They deserved each other. That's not bitterness. It's math. Two selfish people orbiting the only mirror that ever mattered, themselves. The bus hummed over a pothole. My bag shifted against my legs. I didn't bother adjusting it. I didn't miss the house, or the shared laundry basket, or the calendar filled with fake plans. Dinner with his co-workers, drinks with her friends, brunch we always canceled. That life had been stretched too thin for too long, patched with passive aggression and pretend kindness. You don't notice rot when it's slow. You just live inside it until something finally smells off. I thought about the video again. Not the footage, the silence. People always expect noise when the truth hits. Yelling, tears, plates thrown. But the quiet, that's what kills. Because it means you planned it. You saw every crack, traced it with your fingertip and said, "I'm not fixing this. I'm letting it fall." And when it did, they were the ones standing under it. Not me. Not anymore. It took them less than 48 hours to turn the narrative. By Sunday morning, mutuals started posting cryptic shit. There's always two sides. Be careful who you trust. Betrayal isn't always what it seems. Classic damage control. Lila's brand. She'd always been good at dressing up a disaster like it was misunderstood poetry. One of Tom's coworkers, Brad, even messaged me. "Brad, hey, I don't want to get in the middle, but Tom's really hurting." I left it on read. "You want sympathy? Don't sleep with your wife's best friend." That night, I checked the video. Just once. Comments had exploded. Screenshots were everywhere. Some were defending me. Others weren't. But I didn't post it for pity. I posted it for clarity. There's something brutal about letting people see who someone really is, unfiltered. And if that truth costs them comfort, that's not on me. That's on them for building a life on bullshit. On Monday, Tom finally snapped. "Tom, how could you destroy my life like this?" "Tom, you humiliated me. You humiliated her." "Tom, we didn't even sleep together until..." I stopped reading. It doesn't matter when you fucked her. It matters that you chose to. Over and over again. In your head, in your text threads, in your half smiles across my dinner table. Emotional betrayal doesn't come with a timestamp. And Lila? She sent me one long message. Not angry, not apologetic. Just pathetic. "Lila, I never meant for this to happen. I love you. I really do. But he was there when you weren't. You were always so far away. So untouchable." Untouchable? Bitch, I let you cry into my lap after every failed relationship you torched. I defended you to people who knew better. I made space for your messes. And you call that distance? Fuck that. I didn't reply. Just blocked her. After that, things got quieter. The posts slowed. The messages thinned out, which meant only one thing. The story had settled. People had picked their sides. And for the first time, I wasn't on the fence, trying to make peace. I was done. No explanations. No second chances. They burned the bridge and thought I'd swim back. Instead, I walked the fuck away and took the matches with me. A week passed. No calls. No tears. Just static. Funny how quiet life gets when you stop apologizing for existing. I stayed in a rented room above a flower shop in a town no one would think to search. The place smelled like lavender and old receipts. The bed was loud, the water too hot, and the view overlooked a brick wall. It was perfect. The woman who owned the shop was in her 60s. Sharp eyes. Strong tea. She handed me keys without a smile or small talk. Just a nod, like she'd seen enough women like me walk through her door carrying silence and a single bag. I liked her immediately. I didn't unpack. Not really. Just hung up my coat, slid the suitcase under the bed, and left the duffel at the foot. I kept the essentials close. Notebook, wallet, charger, headphones. The rest didn't matter. Nothing I brought with me was worth spreading out. Most days I walked. Side streets, old sidewalks, past shuttered diners and slow-moving dogs. I wasn't looking for anything, just trying to feel my feet touch something that didn't lie. I bought a used notebook from a dusty thrift store for 50 cents. The cover had someone else's name scribbled on it. Tracy, with a heart. I didn't cross it out, just added mine underneath, smaller. Inside, I wrote strange things. Colors of skies. Lists of lies people tell you when they're trying to soften a blade. We didn't plan it. You were always so strong. It just happened. I wrote my name 10 times in a row, until it stopped looking familiar. I made a page called Don't Forget, and the first thing I wrote was, "You're not crazy. They were just that selfish." Sometimes I sat in the little park near the train station. People came and went. No one looked at me too long. I liked that. I liked being no one. One night I passed a bar. The neon sign blinked out the words, "No regrets," but the "no" was busted, so it just read, "Regrets," pulsing red. I stood there for a full minute staring, then laughed. Not a bitter laugh, just something raw, like my ribs let go. That was me now. Regrets, half lit and broken, but still burning. On Thursday, I turned my phone on for 5 minutes. There were over 40 unread messages. A few from people I hadn't heard from in years. One from Lila's sister asking if I was okay. A dozen from people I barely knew, trying to get my side, as if betrayal was a press release. And one email. Subject line, "We should talk, please. Tom." I deleted it without reading. I didn't even pause. That man wasn't writing to me. He was writing to the version of me who used to believe in his explanations, in his tired half-truths dressed as logic. She's gone. I wasn't angry anymore. And that scared me. Not because I missed the anger, but because of what it meant. It meant I'd stopped hoping for any kind of repair. It meant I'd accepted the truth in full. And that's a kind of death, too. I went back upstairs, made a cup of tea, and sat by the window until the sun started to drop behind the wall of bricks. Somewhere down the road, someone would ask what happened. Not the logistics, the why. And I'd tell them this, because they looked me in the eye, called me family, and still chose to fuck each other behind my back, because they smiled through dinners, touched hands under the table, lied with ease, and made me doubt my own instincts like it was some kind of joke I wasn't in on. Because the worst kind of betrayal isn't sudden, it's slow, rehearsed, performed until you stop asking questions. I left because I finally understood they weren't sorry. They were just sorry I caught them. The first week was survival. The second felt like rehab. I started noticing small things, how quiet mornings felt without the weight of pretending, how strange it was to drink coffee that no one else had touched. No mug left in the sink, no second cup poured by habit, just me. One mug, one sip, my silence. There was a cafe 2 blocks away with chipped tables and mismatched chairs. The girl behind the counter wore headphones and never made small talk. I loved her for that. I brought my notebook there each morning, sat near the window, and watched people live lives I wasn't a part of. Couples arguing about groceries, kids tapping on iPads. A man who ordered the same muffin every morning and read the obituaries like it was scripture. I didn't cry. That part surprised me. You'd think grief like this would split you open daily. But no. It just sits in the corner, quiet, heavy, like a soaked coat you're not ready to hang up yet. One morning I saw someone who looked like Lila. Same posture, same cheap sunglasses, same careless confidence in the way she moved through space, like she expected everyone to part for her. My stomach didn't drop. My pulse didn't spike. I just watched until I realized it wasn't her, and then kept sipping my coffee. Healing isn't a sunrise. It's not a breakthrough moment in a therapist's office or a dramatic haircut. It's sitting in your own life and realizing it doesn't belong to them anymore. That your story, your actual private inner fucking truth, is safe now, because they don't get to rewrite it. Later that week, a woman at the flower shop counter asked if I was new in town. I said yes. She smiled and said, "That must feel good." It did, in a way I didn't expect. Like being seen but not recognized. Like being human again, not a role someone wrote for me. Back at the room, I found myself reaching for the notebook more often. I started writing real things, not revenge lists, not wound mapping. Just fragments of who I'd been before everything got wrapped around someone else's lies. I wrote, "He never said thank you when I made coffee. She borrowed my shoes and never returned them. I knew it in the pit of my gut, and still told myself it was nothing." I wanted to be wrong so badly, I handed them the knife every time and apologized for bleeding. Then I closed the notebook and didn't touch it for 2 days. Progress. Because sometimes, survival isn't about fighting back. It's about not picking up the phone, not rereading the texts, not logging into the accounts where your pain has a comment section. I don't care what they're saying now. I don't care who believes them. I cared for a long time. Too long. They can have each other. I'll take my silence. A month passed. Not all at once. Day by day. Hour by hour. Sometimes minute by fucking minute. But it passed. No one found me. Or maybe they did and just stopped trying. Either way, I didn't care. The silence wasn't punishment anymore. It was space. Room to breathe. Room to exist without explaining myself to people who were only ever listening for the parts that fit their version of me. I got a job at the flower shop. Nothing dramatic. Just a few shifts helping organize deliveries, sweeping floors, learning the names of things that didn't demand anything back. I never knew how calming it could be to hold something delicate and know it would die, but not because you failed to save it. One day, the shop owner, Margaret, handed me a plant with yellowing leaves and said, "It just needs a new pot and time." I took that as a challenge. And a metaphor. I stopped counting the days since I left. I didn't mark anniversaries. No big 1-month free moment. Just slow, invisible healing. The kind that doesn't photograph well. But there were signs. I stopped flinching at certain songs. I started eating real food again. I stopped rehearsing what I'd say if they ever showed up. I started laughing. really laughing, at things that had nothing to do with pain. Then, out of nowhere, I got an email from an old friend. Not someone close. Not someone who chose sides. Subject line, saw the video, just wanted to say, I believe you. That was it. No questions, no drama, just belief. I stared at it longer than I care to admit. Not because I needed the validation, but because it reminded me that I wasn't crazy. That even stripped of the theatrics and shock, the story still held truth. People had tried to downplay it, reframe it, rewrite it, but truth doesn't fucking flinch. That night I walked to the edge of town. There's a hill that overlooks the highway. I sat there with a thermos of tea and just watched headlights blur past like distant promises. I thought about the version of me that stayed, the one who kept making excuses, who kept playing hostess to people who only came to feed. I whispered something to her. Sorry I left you in there so long. Then I stood up, dumped the tea into the grass, and walked home. It was the first time I called it that, home, and I meant it. I never posted a follow-up. No second video, no final caption, no dramatic monologue with tears and closure. That wasn't the point. Truth doesn't need sequels. Some people still message. Strangers, mostly. Some say I was brave. Some say I was cruel. A few ask if I ever forgave them. I don't respond. Not because I'm bitter, because I'm building something new, and they don't belong here. Forgiveness, if it ever comes, won't be for them. It'll be for the version of me who stayed too long, who gave too many second chances, who held other people's secrets until her arms went numb. Some days, I still wake up and reach for the old life out of habit. That phantom feeling like your body remembers someone else's routine, but it fades. I started reading again. Not escape stuff, real things, stories where women leave, where silence is power, where survival isn't pitied, it's honored. I even wrote something, not for revenge, not to publish. Just a sentence I scribbled into the back of my notebook one night when the power went out and everything felt raw again. It said, "You didn't break me. You just showed me where the cracks already were. Maybe I'll frame that someday. Or maybe I'll leave it tucked away, like a scar that no longer stings." Spring came early this year. The flower shop smells like citrus and thawing dirt. People come in looking for beginnings. I know the feeling. Margaret offered me a full-time spot. I said yes without overthinking. The girl who used to overanalyze everything until it collapsed wouldn't recognize me now. And that's the point. The final time I opened my old inbox, there was one unread message. No name, no subject line, just 3 words in the preview. Are you okay? I didn't read the rest. I just smiled, deleted it, and turned off the screen. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. I walked outside. The sun was warm, and the wind didn't sting anymore. And for the first time in years, I wasn't carrying anyone else's weight. Just my own. And it finally felt light.